Hey guys, it's Erica Rascon here, and today we're going to do a quick garden tour to give you an idea of what we're working on this summer and to show you a little bit of our progress. We started this garden indoors in March with a couple of seeds, and then by about April, late April, we transplanted most of these outside. There are a couple of purchases that came from our local organic garden supply store that we got as seedlings. Just with a newborn daughter at the time, we didn't have a ton of time or interest to start everything from seed, so we definitely cheated this year, and I do not regret it. Absolutely no shame in that, especially if you have small children that you're trying to take care of. In any case, this is our garden. Today is about mid-July, so that'll give you an idea of how long things have been growing. So let's check out what we have. This is our raised bed that we have watermelons in. Now, watermelons generally do not go in a raised bed, but what I normally have in this space didn't work out, so I went ahead and put my watermelons here. So let's check out some of the growth and progress. Here is an example of one of our JUBILEE melons right here. This one is roughly 6 or 7 pounds. Then we have another one back here. Say hello! That one's a little bit smaller, maybe coming in at 5. Then in this bed, there's also a SANGRIA melon that is going to be much smaller. So this one, for the SANGRIA melon anyway, is probably ready, close to being ready to come out. This one's about 5 pounds. And there's another one that's tucked away back there. He's hiding, he likes the shade. They're sharing a bed right now with some candlestick okra, which is red. I love the blossoms on okra so much. I think they're so beautiful. I would grow them just for the flowers, but the edible part is also nice. Actually, the flowers and the leaves are edible. So there's that, now you know. And along this side, I also have some sweet potato. Now the sweet potato is kind of mingled in with some of the melon, but the sweet potato is underground. You can tell where they are though based on these leaves. These also crawl and sprawl quite a bit. So even though the plants are on that end, like what I actually planted into the ground, I've let the vines sort of sprawl and redirect in this direction. And as you can see over there are the chives that come back every single year. They really love that spot, so I just leave them there. In the bed behind us, we have our different berries. The raspberries are pretty much gone at this point, and there are blackberries that are doing really well over here. Hello, blackberries. I also experimented with growing a tea plant, which is this giant guy that you see right here. So these are tea leaves. These are what you would normally use to make green and black and white teas. They aren't really grown well in Georgia, but it was a fun experiment. I just had like a little space over here, so I was like, let's see what'll happen if I give it a try. So it takes a couple of seasons before they get like prepared to make tea, so we'll see. Making our way over here is our tomato section. In the front we have Roma tomatoes, very few since we're combating the squirrels right now, but we have Roma tomatoes here. And then on the back row and over here on the side we have heirloom tomatoes. So you can see in this little cluster here. Now of our heirlooms, we have some that are going to be red, but we also have black heirlooms that'll be on the back. Now when they say that the tomato will be black, it's really just like a deep red color, almost like a blood red. They don't actually turn like black, which is what I was hoping. We have been having a huge problem, or 2 large problems with our tomatoes. Any gardener can check out these plants and see that they're fighting a battle right now. Like with this little section here, you can see how it's browning, that there's some yellowing that's happening. So some of that is likely the effects of wilt that's taken over in this little plot of soil. We had problems with wilt last year. I tried solarizing the soil and I thought that I had been successful. but maybe not as successful as I had hoped. So you can still see that there's some suffering going on, but even with the suffering, they're still fruiting, just not fruiting as much as they normally would. And we're also fighting the squirrel population, which has decided that they like our tomatoes. So I'm having to bring in, like this tomato here, I'm gonna harvest this one and bring it in. Because if I leave it any longer than this, the squirrels are just gonna run off with it. So not everything will be able to ripen on the vine. Sad story. So over here we have our pepper, our little pepper section. So these are thriving. They're doing so well. I love their bold red color. So many of these will be able to come in today. They start off, you know, small and green, and then once they're mature, they turn this crazy bright red color. I love them. They have a mild spiciness to them. These are called red ember. And then over here, I have the classic rainbow bell pepper. They start off growing nice, large, and green, so this could be harvested and eaten green, but I'm gonna wait for them to change color and turn red. Like you can see this one starting to change. Oh wait, focus. That one's starting to change. You can see a few back there that are also starting to change. I love the color on the rainbow bell pepper, so I definitely like to wait. Over here, this massive plant, this is one plant, and it's cucumber. This whole beast is a cucumber plant, and it's doing incredibly well. It's the DIVA cucumber, and as you can see, I've gone for 2 days without harvesting out here, and they've already gone out of control. So I have several here that are well beyond a foot long, and you know, maybe 4 or 5 inches in girth, like this behemoth right here. This thing is massive. So that's the top, that's my hand, that's the bottom. Oh, there's a little guy trying to burrow in there. It's like a little worm or something. We also have some eggplant. These are the Asian eggplant, so they grow to be like long, kind of narrow, and a lighter purple color. On the other side, you can see the Italian eggplant. It's a more traditional variety that we have here in the States. There's more okra on this side of the garden. This is the green okra that we're used to. This one I think is called CLEMSON. If I can get it to focus. The rabbits love to eat the okra leaves, so you notice that the very bottom is like pretty bare, but they're starting to come back at the top with their foliage. And then on the end I have some more tomatoes. These are tomato seeds that I found just kind of in the bottom of my canister. So I want to say that these are going to be cherry tomatoes, but you know what? I'm actually not sure. They'll be a little surprise. What makes me think that they're going to be cherry tomatoes particularly is this little cluster that's growing over here. Just the way that that looks. I'm like, oh yeah, I think these are cherry tomatoes. We'll see. So my biggest problems this year will be the wilt. The wilt will affect the tomatoes as well as cucumbers. So one thing you can do that I mentioned is solarizing. Solarizing is when you can take like plastic sheeting, like at the end of the season, you take out all of your plants, all the green stuff. You have the bare soil, you level the soil, and then you layer it with sheets of plastic. In the southeast, we do that towards, you know, the very late end of summer, and we still have enough really, really hot days where the temperature is like 85 and above. Those high temperatures kind of cause a greenhouse effect to the soil that's underneath it. So what that means is that the soil temperature will rise, it'll get really, really hot, and in theory, it'll kill off the virus that's responsible for wilt. I tried doing that last year and it obviously didn't work, or at least it didn't work as well as I thought that it did. So there's a couple of things that can go wrong when you're trying to do solarization. The first is that there's air pockets, right? And in that air, it's just enough air to kind of bring the temperature down a bit. Also enough air for weeds to grow. We had some weeds that grew in there. So that's a good sign that your solarization isn't working. Another thing that can happen is that your temperatures just don't get high enough. That's not really the problem here in the southeast, especially with the way things have been changing. We definitely get the heat, But if you're a little bit further north or you start too late in the season, it's possible that your soil just doesn't get hot enough, so you think you're solarizing your soil and you are not. An alternative that we can do to solarizing for these little guys, because that's the plot of soil like in that raised bed, and I think the one, yeah, the two ends are where I usually will put my tomatoes and cucumbers. An alternative to doing solarization is just to rotate your crops, right? So there are going to be some plant varieties that are not prone to wilt. Like I could easily move all that stuff into the other beds and just kind of wait for the wilt to die out for a couple seasons. So that's an option. You can also just start to place flowers in those beds instead of using it for your vegetables. So maybe like edible flowers and things like that. So there are a couple of options that we have to get the best use out of that land, even though there's wilt virus present in the soil. I'm open to any suggestions that you guys might have. So if you're gardeners, know anyone who gardens, please let me know if they have any other additional suggestions. But yeah, that's got to be what we have for now. Ta-da! So I'm gonna get to harvesting, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.